The largest gold discovery in the history of the world turned out to contain almost no gold at all, and the one man who knew exactly how the scam was built fell out of the sky before he could explain a single word of it. This is the Bre-X File. It started with a nobody, a small Calgary company called Bre-X Minerals, run by a former stockbroker named David Walsh, a man with real personal debt, reportedly working out of his own basement. In 1989, Bre-X was a penny stock, the kind of company nobody watches, until it went looking for gold on the other side of the world. In the jungle of Borneo in Indonesia, Bre-X acquired a property called Busang. To run the exploration, two men mattered. John Felderhoff, a respected geologist who had made a real discovery years earlier, and on the ground, the chief field geologist, a Filipino named Michael de Guzman. Remember his name. He is the center of everything that goes wrong, because the drill samples started coming back full of gold, and the numbers only ever went one direction, up. 2 million ounces, then 30 million, then 60, then a staggering 70 million ounces of gold, which would have made Busang the single biggest gold deposit ever found on Earth, worth something like $25 billion. Here is what the world did not know. The gold was being added by hand. Investigators later concluded that de Guzman bought cheap gold that had been panned from local rivers, roughly $61,000 of it over more than 2 years, and mixed it into the crushed rock before it was tested. He was careful. He used realistic amounts, so the results would never look too good to be true. There was only one tell, and no one was checking for it. The gold grains were smooth and rounded, the way river gold is, not sharp and angular, the way real gold from deep rock actually looks. And the market did not care to look, because the story was too good. In April of 1996, Bre-X hit the Toronto Stock Exchange and exploded, climbing to a split-adjusted peak of $286.50 a share. It was added to the main index. It listed in New York. At its height, this company that had never mined a single ounce of gold was worth more than $6 billion. And the money pouring in wasn't just gamblers. It was ordinary people, and it was pensions. Some of Canada's largest retirement funds bought in: the Ontario Teachers Plan, the Quebec Pension Fund, the Municipal Employees Fund, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of regular people's retirement, riding on jungle rock. Nearly 40,000 investors were in. Quick one. If this story has its hooks in you, hit subscribe and smash that like button and tell me in the comments which scandal I should open next. It genuinely helps the channel grow. Okay, back to the file. Then the sharks arrived. Because a deposit that size doesn't stay with a tiny Calgary company. In Indonesia, under the Suharto regime, control of Busang became a political spoils fight. The president's daughter aligned with one mining giant, so Bre-X aligned with the president's son, handing his company a stake and $1 million a month. Finally, a deal was brokered. Bre-X would keep 45%. The American giant Freeport-McMoRan would take a share, and crucially, would actually operate the mine, which meant Freeport was going to drill its own holes. For the first time, someone independent put a drill into Busang, right beside Bre-X's richest, most golden holes. And they found nothing. Not a disappointing amount. Essentially, no gold at all. The bad results were known privately first. And that is when Michael de Guzman, the one man who could explain the impossible gap, was urgently summoned back to the site to meet the Freeport team. On March 19, 1997, de Guzman boarded a helicopter for Busang. About 20 minutes into the flight, he fell from the sky into the Borneo jungle below. His body was found 4 days later, badly decomposed in the heat, about 400 meters from a logging road. It was officially ruled a suicide, with reported notes left behind. But almost nothing about that death is clean. The remains were missing hands and feet. They reportedly did not match his dentures. And the body was cremated quickly before any DNA test could confirm who it really was. To this day, people argue whether de Guzman killed himself, whether he was murdered to keep him silent, or whether the man in that jungle was never de Guzman at all, and he simply walked away with the secret and the cash. No one has ever proven which. Weeks later, it was over. An independent firm tested the core samples and delivered the verdict. The gold had been added. A fraud, they said, without precedent in the history of mining. Freeport confirmed only insignificant traces of gold. Trading was halted, and the stock that had touched nearly $290 collapsed to 6 cents. Around $6 billion vanished. David Walsh fled to the Bahamas and died of a brain aneurysm the next year. Felderhoff was eventually put on trial and acquitted. In the biggest mining fraud in history, no one was ever convicted of the fraud itself. That's what I want you to take out of this file. The gold in those samples was real gold. It was just panned from a river and sprinkled into the rock. And a rising stock price turned that sprinkle into $6 billion of belief. Every single institution that lost money had the same warning signs in front of them the whole time. A promoter with no real track record, an estimate that only ever went up, and a company that would not let an outsider drill its own holes. The one and only time someone independent actually tested the claim, the entire story died in a single afternoon. So before you ever put money into a story, a hot mining stock, a miracle company, a ticker your feed will not shut up about, ask yourself the Bre-X question. Has anyone independent, anyone with nothing to gain, actually verified the thing at the center of this? Or am I just trusting the people who get rich if I believe them? Because due diligence is not reading the pitch. It is checking whether the thing under the pitch is really there. If you want to learn how to actually do that, how to read past the story into the facts, I'll leave a resource I trust down in the description. If you made it this far, you are exactly my kind of person. Subscribe, drop a comment, and help this channel grow. New files coming very soon. The biggest gold deposit ever found held almost no gold. The man who could have explained it fell from a helicopter into the jungle and was gone. Officially, it was a suicide. But nearly 30 years later, no one can tell you for certain who that body in the jungle really was, or where the secret went.